it was probably a couple years of pretty flat to bear type market that we were building in, but we were still growing really, really fast.
All right, morning hats.
Good morning, Brendan.
Back again. So we had a pod yesterday.
Two in 2 days. Yeah,
that's 2 in 2 days. You'd think we were obsessed with Bitcoin or something. Okay, so episode 14, 2-Bit Idiots. Today we have Matt Center from Lolli. How are you, Matt?
Hey, doing well.
Thanks for coming. I'm really well. Thanks for coming on. Before we get started, I just want to just ask you, can you confirm or deny that you will or will not be in the Home Alone reboot?
I cannot confirm nor deny. I have not gotten my SAG card yet, though, so I don't know if they will call me up for that. Plus, I don't know with the facial hair. It's I've kind of outgrown that role a little bit.
Yeah. So for those that don't know what Matt looks like, he looks like a Culkin for sure, and I've said it before on Twitter. But Macaulay Culkin, if he wasn't tainted by Hollywood, I think he's a handsome version of Macaulay Culkin.
Yeah. So thanks.
For the
Culkin minus the heroin.
Yeah.
For the benefit of anybody who didn't listen to it, so the reason Matt is on the pod is we were speaking about Lolli a few episodes ago, and we sort of gave them a call out on Twitter, and we said that Matt looked like, we were having a debate over whether you looked like a Macaulay Culkin or who was the other one. One of the Hansons. I mean, to be fair, you don't look like a Hanson. I mean, maybe if you let the hair come out, but and then Matt came back and he told us that you look like Jason Mamoa.
Yeah, that's what I'm going for.
We'll go with Jason. But Matt, thank you very much for coming. Appreciate your sense of humor. Firstly,
yeah.
Thank you for taking it in the spirit it was meant. And
no problem.
Thanks very much for coming on.
Yeah, all right. Would you want to give us a little background, not necessarily firstly about Lolli, but about, I guess, your foray into Bitcoin and how you kind of fell down the rabbit hole?
Oh gosh, sure. Let's see how far I can go back. I think I first got introduced around 2013. I was working on another startup at the time. It was called Cosmic Cart with my co-founder Alex Edelman, and one of our contractors at the time, he was just all about Bitcoin. I haven't kept in touch with him. I hope he's doing really, really well at this point, but he kept trying to get me into it, and we were just focused on our startup at the time. We had looked kind of casually at how we could start enabling Bitcoin payments through what we were building. It was a two-sided marketplace. It was the enterprise. We called it Commerce Gateway, all kinds of fancy words for it. But basically, it was the technology that powered buy buttons. So we could connect any number of publishers, any number of retailers. And so we had gone through just a little bit, and it was going to be a tough sell anyway. It was already a hard sell what we were building to get retailers on board with what we were doing, and then adding Bitcoin to the mix just wasn't going to be an option at the time. So ended up, I was heads down in that for a while, and then right around 2016, 2017, got back into it after we exited that startup, and was playing around with it. And I was also playing around with Ethereum stuff, doing some smart contract testing, and we kept coming back to Bitcoin. He and I had both just started playing in, crypto and owning Bitcoin, and decided that it was probably at that time a really high barrier to entry for the normal person. I guess, for lack of a better word, we'll go with normal. And so we had just exited from Ebates, who had bought Cosmic. And Ebates obviously is now Rakuten Rewards, one of the biggest rewards companies in the world for cashback programs. And so we said, well, let's just do that for Bitcoin. And so then we came up with Lolli, so that, friends and family, people who are very non-technical, could just shop online and earn little bits of Bitcoin back here and there, and accrue it over time without having to drop hard-earned money into some sort of crypto exchange or other investment, or buying it on the street, So that's kind of how we got from point A to point B.
Okay. Well, so what year did you actually launch Lolli?
2018.
Okay.
18. Okay. So, what was the? You obviously had relationships with suppliers already.
Mm-hmm.
So how difficult was that? In fact, let's go back a little bit. Let's explain for people exactly what Lolli is.
That'd be good.
And then we'll work out how you got suppliers on board.
Yeah. So if you're not familiar with cashback programs, particularly the likes of Rakuten, what we do is we generate leads. We send people to our partner merchant sites once they make purchases on those sites, either through our browser extension, our mobile app, through our site. Then we send on a little anonymous tracking ID with it. And when the order is placed, it comes back to us with essentially a commission for the lead. So we send somebody a customer, they send us back cash. And then we take it upon ourselves to do all of the conversion into Bitcoin and dispersing it amongst our shoppers. And so the shoppers get the lion's share of the commission, and we take a little bit. So monetized right from the get-go. It's we're very proud of that business model because one, it's tried and true in regular fiat, and two, it doesn't require us to collect and sell personal information, which is anathema to our philosophy and obviously the philosophy of crypto in general. So
yeah, it's where would I go with that? Okay, so how difficult was, so I guess in some ways the model that you're going with was understood. It's just that the reward was different. So where the suppliers, or are the suppliers thinking about Bitcoin at all? Or are they really just concerned with the referral that's coming through from the customer?
So it's a little of both. So on the one hand, they're just happy to get a new type of customer, a new just a rabid customer that's going to be coming back to them over and over again versus one of their competitors that isn't partnered with us. On the other hand, it also gives them, and this is part of the easy sell. So we already had all these relationships, and it was easy to go back and say, hey, this is what we're doing. And it's a lot easier than the last time around. Like we hook into your order system and you send us the regular payments you would any other affiliate. And we're going to do all the heavy lifting on our end. So it was nothing for merchants to have to do on their end from a technical perspective. And they got to say, all right, we're doing this Bitcoin thing, even if it's just a little bit at a time. So they got a little street cred for that.
So is the Bitcoin that customers get from shopping, I suppose, held on their Lolli account?
Correct.
And then they can then withdraw that at a certain point. Is it like Fold? You get to a certain amount and then you can then withdraw?
Yeah. Right now it's a $15 US minimum, and the majority of people still keep it with us. So it's actually kind of funny because we set out when we were first building it, we were like, we're going to build this for non-technical people. There's not going to be a lot of people that are going to want to transfer off, and that was like our first assumption proven wrong, because right out of the gate we had a lot of hardcore Bitcoiners join, and they're like, where's the transfer? I want to take this off. And total sense, not your keys, not your coin kind of mentality. So we rushed to build that as quick as we could. And then I think in January of 2019, we rolled that out, the actual transfer process. So you could transfer to any wallet, and you could transfer, if you wanted to get off the Bitcoin train, you could cash out to US dollars at your bank.
Okay.
And is purely Bitcoin wallets, or is it Lightning as well, Matt?
It's purely Bitcoin at the moment.
Purely Bitcoin. Okay. So how do you manage then the sort of volatility of Bitcoin? So let's say I want something that costs $50, and the supplier gives you, I don't know, 10% referral for referring through, and you pass on 8% of that to the customer. But obviously at the point, so what the customer is expecting is exactly their 8% at the time they made the purchase. So some of them will be very savvy. They'll be working exactly how many sats that should be. But then from your perspective, you have to obviously receive your commission and purchase the Bitcoin in order to be able to transfer it to the customer and all that kind of stuff. How do you manage that side of things?
Yeah, so early on, we and actually this is still in place now in most merchants. So there are some merchants where we have confirmed on the date of order. We're trying to move to that model completely very, very soon. Early on, we did it in a way where we pegged the initial amount to US dollars. So if the value of Bitcoin went up, people would actually see their sats dropping. And that was actually one of our biggest criticisms. Obviously, the opposite is also true. If Bitcoin went down, they're like, oh my God, my sats are going up. And everybody loved that. So once they confirm the reward, there's generally let's just say 90-day purchase return date. So you can't return it for most places after 90 days. Some places is much shorter. So you get it a lot faster. But Generally, yeah. I mean, it wasn't guarding just against volatility, but also fraud. So people saying, "Oh, this is my Bitcoin. Now I'm gonna go return my TV to Best Buy and I'm gonna have it." So
there's a period by which people can't withdraw immediately. There's a period they have to wait until to make sure they haven't returned the pair of the hat or whatever they bought.
Yeah. So 90 days, I think you said 90 days. Was it?
Is that sorry? So the 90 days, was that consistent across all suppliers, or is it different?
No. It's different. Yeah, it's different per retailer. So, and actually, this is a feature that we've been rolling out recently. We've been rolling out lots of little things here and there. The ability to actually set that per merchant. So I think at one point we had a default 90 days, and some of the bigger merchants, the Sam's Clubs of the world, they're going to have longer return periods. Smaller ones have shorter ones, and then obviously the consumable ones like the food delivery services. Doesn't make a lot of sense to make people wait 90 days for those. So, making sure that we can confirm those a lot quicker is something we've been testing. So you'll be seeing that rolling out here, probably not before code freeze this year, but going into January next year.
Interesting. Yeah, cool. So how big is the Lolli team?
Oh gosh, so we've got roughly 20 full-time, and at any moment part-time and interns and contractors and stuff, up to 10 more of those, so 30 people.
Do you have a sort of physical location, like a home base, or is it entirely remote?
This is welcome to home base. This is above my garage. This is home base. It's only me in here right now. And like I was saying before we started recording, actually, this is the playroom now. I actually work downstairs in the sunroom. So
yeah, cool. Okay. That's like we had Camilla on, and she was telling us that Swan is exactly the same. They're entirely remote. Which is awesome.
Yeah, it's opening opportunities for people, definitely.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we still, we try to hire semi-local as much as possible, particularly on engineering. Our original goal, since we're based in North Carolina, for people that don't know that, we're based in North Carolina, in and around Raleigh-Durham. And our original goal was to make a central office location, particularly for customer care. They're more social people than engineers are for some reason. I don't know. And so they like being around each other and interacting with people. So which is good for a customer care role. So having an office for them and also a place that we could go and collaborate. And it's still kind of on the radar, something that we want to do after in a post-COVID world, everything gets back to semi-normal. But, being 100% remote going into a global pandemic was actually, we ended up being very fortunate in the fact that we were already equipped to weather that storm and just continue on as normal. I mean, obviously things change as far as the verticals that were making the most money from travel over to consumer goods and things, but we're seeing it turn back around now, so very hopeful that we'll get back to normal here soon.
Yeah, sweet.
So Matt, who are you? So when you first launched, was it the first people who jumped on board were like, oh my god, I can, the Bitcoiners that I can get sats for spending something somewhere, and that has progressed over time to just more normies, or like how do you track who the users are and how they're finding you?
Yeah, so I mean, we've got our standard marketing tech stack with Google Analytics and stuff to tell us where people are coming from.
Yeah.
Demographics wise, it can be difficult because we don't collect a lot of personal information or anything. So there are a lot of assumptions we make, but by our estimate, we think probably about 60 to 70% of our customers are first-time Bitcoiners, cool. Which is what we set out to do. Now, one thing that we did find really cool was, I think when we started, they had estimated around 5% of crypto users were female. And then now we're at like 20 or 25%. So it's been a massive increase getting to a new audience there. So that was a lot of fun being able to do that. And I think it really spoke to the approachability of the platform too, of, making it very easy. Like I said, we expected to be holding consumers' wallets for a really long time. And we still do. I think, a very small fraction of people, it's going to be those hardcore Bitcoiners. And this is part of how we get our estimates of people who transfer every time they hit $15. Like, as soon as that drops, they're like putting in their transfer request and pulling it off the platform, and which is fine. I mean, that was our whole goal, is also to educate the newcomers and say, hey, teach them about not your keys, not your coin. Once you get to the, the comfort level where you're going to hold your own hardware wallet or whatever you're going to do with it, here's how you do it, and making sure they know that that's a feature that's available to them. So,
and it's also not building up a risk problem for you guys as well, if you're having to hold and manage them a bigger and bigger number.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's a double-edged sword, right? Because we don't really draw any monetary value from holding those things for them. But it does look good as, from an investment standpoint of looking at it and say, oh, wow, they're able to manage this many assets, this much in Bitcoin assets for people at any given moment. So, we have this many active wallets kind of thing. So,
yeah, okay. I mean, I really see it as that it's the Trojan horse. I think your business and Fold as people have spoken about before. They're putting Bitcoin in the hands of people who probably wouldn't a lot of people anyway, that wouldn't ordinarily go out and just buy Bitcoin itself.
Yep.
Yep. It's just giving some sats to some people. And when you actually do the sums, and I'm sure you've done them, like the average person in the future might have about 270,000 sats. And if you actually look at how many Bitcoins left to be mined, that number comes down to about 27,000. So, I mean, I would imagine there's plenty of users on your platform that might even be making that in a transaction sometimes. So it's going to be a significant amount. So, are you able to track in terms of users coming back and increasing their use of Lolli over time? Have you noticed anything there, or?
You mean like, does it pick up when Bitcoin's mooning?
Basically, yes. I mean,
yeah, because yes, that is absolutely the case. I mean, whenever we get on, new all-time highs and things like that, everything just increases. The traffic to the site, the number of new accounts, the number of support requests. It's tangible almost to see that market fluctuation and the interest. It's hand in hand. So, I mean, the opposite's also true. It could be on the decline, but it's in the news so much that we'll see people come and say, "Hey, what's this about?" And so yeah, we definitely ride those waves whenever they happen.
Yeah, it's really interesting, isn't it? Like, the time to really get interested and learn about Bitcoin is actually in the bears, because and stack as much as you can, because the benefit is better, because obviously the increase is going to be more. So, but that's the opposite of what happens generally. Is that, I mean, we, even with the podcast I've got a little website too. I notice it myself. So, it's like the people are doing the complete opposite of what is actually good for them. If they would just learn in the bear time and stack as much as they can in the bear time, and then their conviction will stay. I'm pretty much certain of that.
And our first, let's see, so we launched after the 2017 explosion, and then from that point until, gosh, it escapes me all the different bull markets, but it was probably a couple of years of pretty flat to bear type market that we were building in, but we were still growing really, really fast. Now it's been, year over year, it's phenomenal. We look back at our graphs for, October of last year, and it's a dwarf compared to what we've done in October of this year. And then the same goes for the year prior to that. So, over time, it's just almost been this like logarithmic growth, despite the fact that for the majority of it, it's been pretty bearish, with, one or two exceptions. And then obviously this past year being pretty phenomenal since January, something like that.
Yeah. So the actual process of using Lolli to buy goods, is it a browser extension on a desktop?
Yep.
Like Honey, which I've only been introduced to recently by Hats.
So we're in Australia, Matt. So and
so we don't have Lolli here, Matt.
We're really keen.
I'm working on it.
we're getting to it. Don't worry. So we have the Honey model over here, which is, it's a browser extension. You go on eBay, it finds you, it scrapes a code, it applies some fiat discount to you, and it sends it to you, and you can withdraw it. So it's a similar model, but it doesn't offer the Bitcoin option, obviously. So it doesn't have that potential for growth. You're getting
it's a one-time discount. That's it.
Yeah. So that's the same model for Lolli. You're a browser extension, but also apps as well.
Yep. Yeah. So we've got a browser extension for Chrome, Firefox, Edge, and then we're reviving Safari now that Apple has gone back to the old style extensions. So we'll be reviving Safari here shortly. In fact, we're wrapping up the build process for that. We'll be pushing that out here soon. So we'll capture all the four main browsers there. And then on the iOS side, we've obviously got the iOS app, and that one's a little bit different because we keep everything contained. So the browser extension essentially follows you around from site to site, right? And it gives you a little banner, very similar to Honey, like you mentioned. If you're on a partner site, it'll give you a banner and it'll say, hey, activate for this % back in Bitcoin. Click through and now you're activated. And so when you check out, as long as Honey doesn't snipe our cookies, then you get your reward. No, I like Honey. I like the guys at Honey. Congratulations to them on their massive exit. In a lot of ways, we actually look at, they kind of legitimize the browser extension market, particularly from an investor standpoint. So a lot of investors perked up at like, oh, browser extension, like Honey. Yeah. And so you can kind of follow their rollout to some degree. I mean, we're a very different product in the sense we're not dealing with coupons. And like you said, you get Bitcoin back and it's going to accrue over time. And I mean, we've got people from the original launch who have tons of free stuff at this point because their rewards have just gone up so much, 5x, 6x, wherever we're at now. More than that, because we think we launched around 4K, 5K. So what is that? 12x? 5 times 12. Did I do that right? No.
Yeah. About that.
Yeah. Where are you just now? I'm thinking in dollars when you're 58 or something just now, are you? Roughly? The US?
Say again?
Is it Bitcoin's, were we 58?
I'm not sure.
Just now? I'm sorry if I follow the price in Aussie dollars now, but I could double check it. But yeah, I mean, I remember tweeting about this at the time, saying anybody who buys, a PC or something through Lolli is getting it for free. You just have to wait a little bit.
Yep.
It's free. Yep. Now, if you need, I wouldn't, I'd recommend everybody go to Lolli if you got it available to you. But I wouldn't be making purchases that you don't need to make, because obviously with that money you could be just purchasing Bitcoin, right? So you could get more. But
don't take business away from him.
No, Matt knows.
It's okay. I mean, that's no secret.
No.
We actually hear that a lot on Twitter. Some of the trolls on Twitter is like, just go buy Bitcoin. But you sometimes have a family or a pet that you need to feed?
Yeah. We all need to live, right? So with the purchases that you require to, at least the ones you require to make just to live, if you're able to get something back, and if that something could be Bitcoin, that's a great idea. And there will be people, I'm sure, that are getting close to, getting close to everything being free that they bought a couple of years back.
Yep.
And if those people aren't your biggest marketing team, because they'll be out telling their friends how clever they are, right?
Oh yeah, and we see it all the time on Twitter. They'll post screenshots of their gains over the years and like, hey, I bought this and now I basically got it for free. So
yeah. So how much do you guys approach suppliers or businesses to kind of come on board versus how many actually now are starting to approach you?
So I think generally speaking, the larger brands is us going to them. Your second tier and lower, like there's a bunch that'll just automatically join. They'll just be like, okay, yeah, this is great. This is going to add, even if it adds a tiny bit to what we're doing. These are the mom and pops, the SMBs. And then you're gonna have your mid-range that it's a little of both, right? We'll get inbound upon occasion. That's just, I don't even say upon occasion, it's weekly, where, hey, we'd like to talk a little more about how we can get on your platform, and we've got these rates. And so we do have people courting us for it, which is great. It always works out best if they've got an integration that we can hook into. We don't have a lot of time to build out custom integrations for one-off. We did that at the old startup, and it was tough. It's very, very difficult to scale that way. I mean, you'd have to be, a Target or somebody and say, you've got to come and build directly to this particular system. And I guess you guys have a different target there than we have here, but everybody's familiar with Target. So yeah, it's a little bit of both. And then for the very, very large brands, we're always talking to them. I think what you really see is the bigger the brand, the more public facing the brand is, the more recognized it is, the more weary they still are of just jumping right into Bitcoin. There'll be some people on staff that are like, we'll always get that the younger person on the team, they just go in and be our cheerleader. And Alex is really good about this, and Shayna as well. Shayna's our VP of strategy and ops, of just finding that person that can go in, and then they keep chewing on the ear of their managers and their managers and try to build up this vibe inside the company of like, yeah, we really need to do this at some point. And we've seen them come back and say, hey, all right, we're finally ready to go. And so there's very little effort on our part. Well, I think I might be downplaying Alex and Shane's contribution. There's a lot of effort on their part, but they come back to us and they're like, yeah, let's do this. We're ready to go. And so it's really exciting when we see that happen, because the bigger corporation, the slower they are to move, and it's just finding the right people inside. And it can be a long process for those, but it's working out.
From the point when they deciding, obviously there's a lot of work goes into that, but from the point that they decide, how long would it take to get a retailer on board?
Minutes if they're on a supported platform. Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's great.
And how many retailers are we talking just now?
So we've got over 1,000.
Yep. Wow.
Yeah. And I forget what the actual number is. It may be approaching 1,500 or something like that. I haven't counted in a while. Back in the beginning, we used to just count like every day. We had a data room. We're like, we have this many users. We have this many
exciting, right?
And so, yeah.
Oh, shit, yeah.
Oh, listen, that's exactly what we do with this podcast, right? Oh my God. There's 4 people listened and somebody in Andorra listened to us talking. Why are they doing that? But it's great, right? It's really great. But where was I going next? So let's go slightly negative then. So where is it available, and so who can currently use, and what are your plans in that regard?
Australia.
Yeah. So US only right now. We have definitely been trying to make inroads into at least majority English speaking countries to kind of keep the translation and internationalization piece off of our plate for a bit. So Australia obviously fits the bill there. So we would really like to run a test in Canada next as our first international stop. It just makes sense for us. We've got a lot of merchants that are in both countries. The thing about moving into a different country is it's not just the technical side of things, which actually is probably the easiest. It's the regulation for that particular country, as well as the merchant partnerships in that country. So you might have a multinational company, but they're completely represented differently in Canada, for instance, or Australia. And so you've got a different team to work with, a different team to convince of your strategy, and different budgets, different rates. And then on top of that, whatever the local government, however they end up, deciding you fall into a particular regulated category or something, and then working out those details. So I think for the most part, if we start looking at Canada, UK, Australia, those types, we should be in a pretty good position to roll those out fairly quickly once we clear the last few hurdles. So, and then go ahead.
I was just going to say, I don't know if you heard, but the biggest bank in Australia has just announced that they will be allowing the customers, which is over 6 million people.
16 million. I checked that. It's 16 million customers.
Out of 25.
I couldn't believe that.
I don't think that's right.
It could be non-active account. It'd be a lot of non-active accounts.
Anyway, so they're going to allow their customers to sort of buy and hold crypto through their bank account, through their net bank app. So that
interesting.
Yeah.
That's
so
I didn't hear that.
Days,
so timing wise for you, I reckon that's pretty good. And maybe Canada just needs to get bumped down a notch.
Sorry, Canada.
No, fuck Canada.
Canada's got their own. See, what do we call? We have FinCEN here and FINRA, and then Canada's got their own version of it. I forget what their acronym is for it, but determining whether or not we ended up being a money transmitter in Canada, all that good stuff. So, and then we have to do that with every country we go into. But that's good to hear about Australia. I feel like, and just from the outside looking in, Australia has been somewhat anti-Bitcoin.
Well, we're anti-everything. Anti-everything.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
And except poison spiders. You guys love poison spiders.
Well, right? Hat's actually just grabbed a canister spray can because I think there's a wasp flying around here, and he doesn't like. He's very Scottish in that way. He doesn't like bugs and.
So, do you have is it even a thing in the industry? My ignorance, like exclusive partners, or do even competitors that are offering fiat cashback? Are they signed up for, like, are there big brands signing up to only one cashback partner, or are retailers tend to go broad? Well, how does that work?
It definitely does happen, and it really depends on how big the merchant is and what they're selling. And then we've also seen things like, we can partner with you, but you can't show a banner on the web page. And so we have to make a special rule that says we can flash the little icon, but we can't actually put the banner on the page. So there's all kinds of little things like that. Yeah, it's really interesting.
That's because they don't want to publicly be associated with Bitcoin right now, or would you?
No, not necessarily. It's just, I think generally it's one of two things. It's either they just don't want their website experience messed with, for one.
Yeah.
So that could be their main
just
thing.
Controlling
the
brand.
other. Yeah, exactly. The other could be that they've got a contractual obligation with another cashback program to be the only one that can show a banner on their site, but the flashing icon is okay up in the toolbar. So yeah, it's little things like that we've got to account for. And generally, when that comes up, that's the times that I'm up late at night, just hammering away, trying to get a feature out to support a large merchant that says, well, you can't show it here. And so I've got to go and make some way of configuring it so that that's possible.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
sorry, go on.
I was going to say, so what your background is in sort of engineering or coding or yeah?
Yeah. So I've got a computer science degree, been coding since I was like 13, 14, something like that. I like to say I was coding for money for about 25 years now. So
yeah, wow.
And then building businesses roughly the same amount of time. So I guess my first real business.
Sorry, no, please. I was interrupted. Please.
No, I was just gonna say, I think I started my first real business, if you call it a real business, when I was in college. So around the late 90s.
Nice.
So what's the passion? What side of it is your preference, or you like combining them both?
I love combining them both. I love doing everything about building a business. And then I also love being able to, build things that build the actual parts that become a product too. So, there's no day that goes by that you don't find me working with the customer care team or interacting with people on Twitter or reviewing legal documentation or creating privacy policy updates. Just anything that has to do with building the business, I just thoroughly enjoy. So there's no role in the company that I won't jump into and just do that.
How do you find, and this is, I guess, digressing a little bit, how do you find balancing your remote home work with family life? Is it difficult?
It can be. I think I'm doing better at it this time than I did with my previous startup. But at this point, we've got three kids and a dog. I was mixing kid and dog. We just got a dog this week.
Same.
Yeah, basically the same. They both require a steam cleaner. So we've got 3 kids and a dog. I got my wife, and she's also a full-time physician. So full-time physician means she works more than me, most likely. And so obviously we have help. We have people that, trade in and watch the kids or take the kids to school, that kind of thing. So that's very, very helpful. But then I try to set time limits or hours. I call it the witching hour. I have my calendar's blocked off in the evening that nobody can set meetings during 3 hours from like 4:30 to 3.5 hours, 4:30 to 8. So that's family time.
Right, slap bang in the middle of it. Why not? Have we just taken your 4:30 day?
Well, this was I got special dispensation for this because you guys were in Australia. I was like, look, they can't do it any other time. It's
nice.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
Well, thank you to Matt's wife.
Yeah. So I'll pass that along. She'll appreciate that. But yes, it's really about scheduling, I think, more than anything, and just making sure that you stop and have time and try not to run back to the computer when something pops up or you think of something. And honestly, it ends up being more productive. I've got no way to quantify that. I have no metrics for this, but it feels like it's more productive because if I step away from a problem and I come back to it, it's kind of the zen of solving a problem. Then you come back to the computer and you sit down at something you were frustrated at for a while and you're like, oh, it's right there. It's just that take your mind off for a bit and play with your kids, play with the dog, and then come back and solve the world's problems.
Nice.
Through Bitcoin.
So where do they?
Go ahead.
No, please go. Right.
I was just saying, but that trickles down to the rest of the company too. Like we try to be very, very conscious of everyone's work-life balance and make sure people feel like they can take the time they need. We're not, counting hours or anything like that. We just want everybody to come in and work pretty autonomously. And again, it's part of the remote environment too. I think that you just have to kind of be that way with everybody of, hey, I trust that you're going to do what you need to do because I can't see you. I don't know where you are at every moment of the day, but I also don't care. If you've got to go change a dirty diaper or take a kid to school or pick a sick kid up or whatever, it's not a big deal. And That's always been kind of a goal of mine, because when I would work at other corporations and stuff, it was just I was like, why am I driving in traffic 45 minutes to an hour both ways, and then spending all this time doing precisely what I need to do in a regimented schedule? It's just very, very annoying and didn't seem very productive. So I really I'm proud of the company that we built so far in that regard.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I wonder how many people who are traveling to, work in the city of London or wherever it might be on the tube, they're earning £1 million a year, but they're going to work with their nose in somebody else's armpit every day at silly o'clock in the morning, coming home at silly o'clock at night, never seeing their family. And like, are they more productive than somebody, spending time and changing their kid's diaper or whatever it is that they've picked their kid up from school, whatever it is?
And all that, are they happy?
Well, are they happier? That's a bigger question, I suppose. But so how do the ideas come? So how do you, on a remote basis with the staff, like where do the ideas for the company come from? How do you get those together? Everybody can shout an idea and it's discussed, or are you pretty flat, or?
Oh yeah, we're very flat. We have regular leadership meetings to just go over the week's stuff and figure out what our roadmap's going to be, that kind of thing. So typical stuff you see in a regular company is just done remotely, and it's all done by schedule. It's schedule a meeting, make sure that your video conferencing is actually working and everybody can hear each other, which is always a pain. But we've even got like an idea share room in Slack where people can just drop in anything that they want. Just like, hey, somebody said this, or I heard from a friend that they would like it to do this, or even I had this idea, maybe we should try, adding favorites so you could favorite your favorite merchants. And that's a great idea. Yeah. And so we haven't gotten to that one yet, but that is definitely a great one that we want to include at some point. So yeah, I mean, it's very flat. Anybody's totally welcome to come to Alex or myself or anybody on leadership or any of the other people on the team and just be like, hey, this is it could go both ways, right? It could be like, here's a new idea, or here's a problem. This doesn't seem to be working. Here's how I think we could make it better, kind of thing. So it's a great team. A lot of us worked together at our previous startup, and then we just built out from each other's networks from there. And it's a very trusting environment and very little ego across the board.
And okay, so what's that led to recently? Like, what are you working on just now? And what's the kind of roadmap for the next, maybe, I don't know, 6 months or something? Where would you like to take it?
Yeah, sure. So obviously we have the Android app coming out. We've got what we call the pre-app coming out here very, very shortly, which is the one that's going to allow you to go in, do the daily stack, view your online activity for all your past shopping, that kind of thing. The full app for that, which will have the actual built-in shopping browser, will be probably Q1, maybe as close to January as possible. So that's rolling out. I'll be reaching out to a few people on Twitter that have Androids that have asked if they could have beta access to test, and definitely I need feedback on that. So that's one. We're also moving into in-store offers. So having a method for actually shopping at your local favorite restaurants and stuff, and being able to get rewards in store. So we're trying to get that out the door here before code freeze. So that's coming up within the next couple of weeks, and we'll slowly roll that out in batches to large swaths of people.
Sorry, can you explain that to me? Can you explain that to me a little bit more in store?
Yes. So just being able to get rewards in store on your credit card or whatever. So just being able to go into, we call them QSRs, quick service restaurant, and being able to swipe your card and get Bitcoin back on that purchase.
Gotcha.
Okay.
And then do you have user communities like Telegram channels, like people who are sharing ideas as to how to best maximize the Lolli experience?
So we do have a Telegram. I honestly haven't spent much time in the Telegram. We're looking at actually spinning up a Discord as well. We've seen a lot more other people execute better strategies on Discord than they have on Telegram for whatever reason. I think it's just like the messaging app du jour that ends up winning in those regards. But Twitter has really been our main platform for people doing that kind of thing. It's, for whatever reason, it's resonated there more than anywhere else that we've played around.
Yeah, it's hard to I like Twitter. I didn't used to be a fan, and now I'm a complete, spend half my life there. But it's but there's things I don't like about it, obviously. So but it's very, very difficult to move people. If they wanted them to be somewhere else, it's turning off your. I mean, I frankly, I still have got a Facebook account. I live in Australia and my family are in Scotland, and most of them are still on Facebook, and I need to keep in touch. So I retain the account. I don't like Facebook, but I still keep the account because
you can get rid of. Because I got rid of the Facebook account, but I've kept the Messenger app.
Yeah. I mean, it's just when it's just that network effect, isn't it? Once people are in somewhere, it's very difficult to. It's hard to be the first one to step out. Somebody has to.
Well, it's like, is it Mastodon or whatever it was? Everyone's like, I'm going to Mastodon. Yeah. Was it Mastodon?
Yeah, and then we all secured our accounts and didn't go there.
Yeah. Well, I tried, and then it's like, I'll see you guys in Mastodon, and then maybe a month later they all come back to Twitter.
Yeah,
it's like,
we go through those cycles. I think that, within the past couple of years, there was also. Do you remember ELO? ELLO?
Oh,
that was like the big. Yeah, that came out, and that was supposed to be like, everybody rush to get your name at ELO. It's gonna be the next big thing. And crickets now, they're just nothing.
I'd not even thought of it. And there's another one I don't know if you know, called TSU a few years back as well, which was kind of the it was kind of like a YouTube model in the sense of revenue sharing in that way. So you'd get if you had 100 likes on your post or something. It would actually share some of the revenue with you, but it kind of disappeared as well.
I've heard BitClout's pretty amazing.
Oh, don't. let's not go down that angle again.
I got blocked from BitClout, I think, because I said something negative about it.
Oh,
I had a trending thing, and then it's gone.
Is it still a thing, or has it died yet?
Oh, I don't know. This was ages ago. So
that's a badge of honor. You should wear that one on your sleeve.
Yeah.
Cool. So, yeah, I mean, with the other country thing, what are the barriers? Like, what if somebody wanted to help you out, for example, if there's somebody listening, our audience is kind of mostly, well, we're about 40% US.
Our four listeners.
Our four listeners, four listeners. Yeah. So of our four listeners,
we offer nothing,
3 of them are in America or whatever, but and in Australia. But if somebody's looking to help either in the States or elsewhere, is that something you're looking for, or are you growing just now in terms of the team? Is that something that's on the agenda at all? Or?
I mean, yes and no. I mean, we always appreciate the help going into anything that we're doing, whether it's, at a merchant or if it's in a country. That's awesome to have that help. We're not actively like hiring positions or anything for various countries. Not even really from a consulting perspective. I think in most cases, with the merchants having their established presences in those different countries, we're able to just work directly with them and figure out what we need to do to get them online. So I get that offer a lot on Twitter. I get DMs, hey, what can you do? I mean, what can I do to help you get into Spain faster? I was like, yeah. I mean,
you can leave me alone.
Chances are not much. Yeah. Let me get back to typing. I've got some stuff to do here.
But there's nothing stopping a pleb somewhere approaching their favorite retailer and saying, hey, I mean, obviously if Lolli's not available, but just saying, are you aware of this kind of a model?
I mean, I am that guy. I am the guy who's been annoying you. I've probably done it personally to you, right? So I apologize for. Well, no, I don't apologize for it because I need you to know. But I'm doing it for two reasons. When I do it, one, I'd love to see Lolli or Fold or whoever it is, make their way into Stewie because it'd be good for Stewie. But also, I am pushing somebody with the ability. I'm hopefully encouraging somebody with the ability to set one up if they want to do. Nobody's stopping you. I mean. Yeah. Nobody's stopping me, quite honestly. Like I don't have the technical ability, but
your brain is stopping you then.
Well, excuse me, but yes,
so you're working against yourself.
Yeah,
what he's saying.
Oh, yeah, okay, fair enough. point taken. But people can. There's nothing stopping anybody following the model, right?
Right.
And setting up.
It
sounds like a threat.
It does. It is. Yeah. I'm going to light a fire under me now. I got to get to Australia before somebody else does.
But no, I either or is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I know.
Either or. I'd love to. It's good for Bitcoin, right?
Everything's good for Bitcoin. What you keep saying.
But
Bitcoin's good for everybody.
Yeah. Is there a retailer out there that you're really keen and you think there would be an absolute slam dunk for Lolli, or is there? Like, do you go for, or are there gaps in your offering that you think you need to try and fill?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. We did have Walmart at one point early on, and then they got crypto shy. So getting Walmart back on board that would be huge. They would contributed massively to sales. So, getting the Walmarts back on and the Targets of the world, that would be great.
Why did they leave though? Like it doesn't hurt them to stay.
It just goes back. Yeah, it's image. It's a particular decider at the company at a particular level, or what have you, or somebody gets regulation shy or something, and they're like, didn't know that they were doing this, and some other team had gone rogue or whatever. It could be any number of things. And the bigger the company, they don't necessarily know what everybody's doing all the way down. And somebody might be trying out a new idea, and then somebody higher up says, wait a minute, we need to consider X, Y, and Z before we actually do that. So it's just a thing. It happens. Retailers can be very, very finicky. I don't know if you know that, but they can be very protective of their brand. And a lot of people, it's really funny because people say, oh, all you have to do, you're just giving them more money, of course they're going to sign up. And it's like, no, that's not how it works. They have strategies, they have image, they have all these internal things that they might be working on, and they don't necessarily just want revenue from your project because you're doing something cool and can add to their bottom line in even a fraction of a way. But it's not a brain dead sale. It does take effort.
All
right, cool. Is there anything you want to shout out about Lolli, or where would you send people, Matt, if they want to find out more for either for yourself or the company?
Yeah, I mean, lolli.com, LOLLI.com, like the lollipop. And then we've got Twitter is Try Lolli. And then I'm also on Twitter as Matt Center, MATTSENTER. Let's see, I think that's all.
Follow Matt. He's not a toxic Bitcoiner at all. He's a funny account.
It is, Matt. Yeah. You've got some fun tweets.
Thank you. Yeah, I try to keep everything positive. I try not to be toxic. I am a Bitcoiner, but I am not a toxic Bitcoiner.
Yeah.
There's room for all of us, I think. So
yeah, sorry, I resemble the other remark, unfortunately, sometimes.
Sometimes. What do you mean sometimes?
It's okay. There's also nothing wrong with that. I mean, be passionate about what you're working on.
Yeah, sure. I think there's a time and a place. I think you're right.
Yeah.
Well, mate, I really appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, that was great.
Thank you very much for taking the time.
And please pass on the thanks to your wife again.
Oh yeah, no problem. And it was a very interesting way how we got connected. So really enjoyed the chat and the humor, and it's a really good time.
Awesome.
Thank you, mate. We look forward to Home Alone 4 at Christmas.
Yeah.
or the Jason Mamoa spectacular that comes out.
Yeah, I've got to hit the weights, and then I'll next podcast. Let's do a podcast in a year, and I'll come back. I'll have the Jason Mamoa look.
Awesome.
I have seen some of the running posts as well, Matt. Well done on that too. Congratulations.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
Was it 500 days or something now?
Yep, over 500 days now. Yep.
Good effort, Matt. Well done.
Can I remind you that we've already said goodbye, and now we're
sorry.
Yeah. So this is the awkward part where we just walk away. And
yeah.
Bye.
Thanks, mate.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks again. Bye, guys.
Hey guys, if you've made it this far, thanks so much for listening. The plan with the pod is to do sort of guests one week and myself and Brendo the other week, so hopefully that's working for you. If you don't like one of them, just listen to the one you do like. If you want a little bit more information from us, you can find it at bitcoin-first.com/learn.